Oh, let's share some video, shall we? Hopefully, we'll be actually everywhere. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, that's a good start.
Okay.
I ain't saying much, but that's a good.
And I can see you too.
Oh my goodness!
We got a video.
It's like we have a working computer. What's wrong with this picture?
You put a piece of paper into the machine and
You make like a phone call.
make like a phone call.
Person on the other end, like they get the same
The
piece
same
of
piece of
paper.
paper. Yes. Can I be helped by somebody who hasn't floated on on a door?
Oh, Family Guy used to be so good.
I'm watching them now. I'm like, I
He's
can't
my
watch. I try to watch them, and Lynn's like going, "What are you doing, man? What do you watch?" I'm
What
like,
season are you up to?
What?
What season?
Oh, I'm still on season 1. I really haven't watched
Oh,
a lot of them. I think I
you
watched
gotta. I mean, you gotta. There's so many good ones in like the first 8 seasons.
like
So fun.
I watched the first one. I think the second one is where Peter teaches his daughter to drive, and then he's driving the car, and then he crashes into like a satellite dish, and he loses.
He knocks out Cable for the city.
Yeah, he knocks out KO for the city, and but I mean, the funniest things are like when, Brian goes, "Well, remember the time you did this?" And then
Yeah,
that's the great those are like the
one of the
great
one of the funniest short ones too is he's saying something about Peter's intellect and goes, remember Peter when you locked the keys out of the car and he's inside the car, the windows cracked like this and the keys are laying on the ground and he's going and people are walking past and he's going, sir, can you help me, sir, can you, oh come on. And then he finds a hanger and he tries to pick the keys up off the ground. Shoot, wait, I can't do it that way. Damn it. Because remember, whoa, turn that down there, son. Groups.
That's funny.
Trying to sharing here. If I cut it, if I do, if I keep it down to like 100, I don't get stopped. It's not always easy to do. make it. Okay. That stopped. Can't use this feature for the moment because you signed up for Facebook. We can't let you use the feature. That would be ridiculous. Why would we allow such a thing? So even though you're a member here, all right, we're at 6:01. What do you say we have a go here? That's one. That's two.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth. Pennsylvania, part of these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth. The only one we have, third rock from the sun, the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect live with you for the 17th of November 2024. Think about this. So we have undertaken a pretty reduced broadcast schedule, really for two reasons. One, the election is passed, and you know, if you listen to Trump, we don't have to deal with those pesky elections anymore. That'll be the last time we ever have to vote. But also, doctor's orders. The 16 to 18-hour long days, 5 days a week, was just becoming too much. So we can't do that any longer. So new broadcast schedule for our second week. This week, we are live with you tonight. We'll take you as deep into the program as we can. We'll return to you on Tuesday and again on Thursday, and then think of this: we'll be with you next Sunday and Tuesday, and then it's Thanksgiving, and we're out. We will not be with you next Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, and not Thursday or Sunday night either, because we never broadcast on the Sunday night of Thanksgiving weekend. So Thanksgiving is here for all intent and purpose already. Christmas is actually kind of here for all intent and purpose already. Kristen and I have started our Christmas shopping. We were at the Bethlehem Christmas market last night. We were on Main Street at some of the outdoor shops that have popped up for holiday there. And of course, we get married right after the new year. So it's going to be, I think this next 6 weeks is going to be a bit of a blur and a sprint. And it is really going to be something. Again, just a little bit of a personal note there. And I do try to keep some sort of sense of privacy and awareness that I don't drown you with personal detail, because you all have your own lives to live. But at the same time, you are kind enough to tune into this program. Many of you loyally, every time that we're on. You're here. And I want to try to just be real with everybody and be honest with everybody about what's happening here, because I'm not Superman. I'm not a computer-generated figment of your imagination. George is easily as smart as any artificial intelligence that you would want to come across, but not me. And so I'm just trying to be honest with a lot of you about what is happening in our world here, and in our little backyard, if you will, our local, just what's happening to us. Let's put it that way. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for continuing to support the program and just be good to us in your comments and the time that you taking in the program. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. We couldn't be here without you, but I do tend to start the program with what's coming, which I guess is a little odd. But that's what's coming. We will be here Tuesday, Thursday, a week from tonight, a week from Tuesday, and then a nice little break. We will be away from you for Thanksgiving Day holiday. Let me get to a bit of the business end of the program. Welcome to all of you. You are watching and listening to The Kennedy Effect live for the 17th of November, 2024. You can watch us live right now on all of the following. And yes, I'm fighting the sniffles because my allergies are still bad. I don't know what it is. Well, it's warm. It was warm today, actually. Out in the sun, it felt very much like spring. I had layers and a coat on, and I was actually kind of sweating, and it felt very nice outside. It really has felt like spring. Normally, by the way, I'm not going to turn the camera over there because it's pouring us in. I have blackout curtains over these windows because daylight can be very invasive into a video production. But I actually have the windows open now because it is dark when I sit down to be with you. So there's no daylight to come in to drown me out. So it's nice to be able to look outside a little bit. Even though it's dark, it's kind of nice to be able to look outside, have some natural light, if you will, come in. Maybe I'll be a little more energetic. Maybe I'll be smarter. That would be fantastic. But you can watch us right now live on the following places: the Facebook pages of Ghost Claw Productions, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, Hot101.net, and the TCP Media Group. We are live right now on my personal Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy. We are live on our home group Facebook page for all things The Kennedy Effect. That, of course, is called That Other Side of Information. We are live all these places right now, and 100 groups we've shared the program to. In fact, I think I made it to 102 before I got stopped, of course, by Facebook, because, of course, I haven't shared a program since last Tuesday. So why would I be allowed to do such a thing, in a public, so-called public square, public marketplace? Why would I be allowed to do such a thing? But that said, we did get to share out to about 102 places before we were stopped. We should be able to finish the sharing list in our 7 o'clock hour. You can also watch us right now live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/That Other Side of Information. All of our social media, by the way, is right over my left shoulder, what would be my right shoulder to you. It's all right here. I know it's a little small, but it's there. If you just, blow out the screen a little bit, you can read all of it. Our phone number is there as well. So we are live on our YouTube channel right now, That Other Side of Information. We are live on Twitch, Jeff R. Kennedy. We are live on LinkedIn, Jeff Kennedy as well. Now, I've talked about doing something here on the program for quite a while, and I am going to do that tonight in the business end of the program. Actually, wait, let me get to the rest of the business end of the program. The audio of the program, lasting out over 2, not just 1, but 2 global internet stations. One, of course, one of the originators of all global internet radio, and the first radio station to give this humble program a chance and a home and a time slot. That, of course, is Hot101.net. If you don't know how to listen to Hot101.net, it is extremely easy, and there are quite a list of ways that you can listen. Hot101.net, our name is our web address, HOT101.net, Hot101.net. Open up the main web page and you're listening, period. You don't have to log in, don't have to give a blood sample, credit card, none of that stuff. You open it and you're listening, period. You can open that website on desktops and laptops and tablets and phones. You can stream to, or stream, Bluetooth, stream it, you know what I mean, to headsets and earbuds and speakers and in the car and all of those sorts of things. But you also don't need the website to listen. You can use either of our apps, the Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android devices, and for all other devices, well, for those and others, the TuneIn radio app. Go up to the search bar, type in hot101.net, and you are listening. And of course, you can also tell Alexa to play hot101.net. And again, it doesn't cost you anything. This is global free internet radio at your fingertips. If you can connect to the internet, you can listen, period. That's it. It's that simple. Following us on hot101.net, the music returns. On our second global internet radio giant powerhouse, I don't know about giant powerhouse quite yet, but we're growing. We continue to grow. 4.5 months old. Gosh, maybe we'll even be out of diapers soon. That is GCPR.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live, GCPR.live. Type GCPR Live into any search engine. It will bring you to our website, which has been redesigned, by the way, and it is really quite stunning. I gotta be honest with you. It's fantastic. George and Gilbert did an amazing job on the website. It's incredibly easy to read and use. It scrolls a lot of things by itself. It's monumentally simple to use.
It was all Gilbert's doing. I didn't have anything to do.
You didn't have anything to do with it?
No.
You're
It's all
kidding.
Gilbert.
I thought the two of you did it together. I mean, I know he's more the software person, you're the hardware person, but I still thought the two of you worked on it.
No.
Well, that's incredibly honest. That's incredible. There goes the stipend I was going to give you.
Put it into the swear jar money for Thomas.
Oh,
There you go.
gosh. Well, if Thomas starts a swear jar, you and I we won't need the GoFundMe. We'll have new computers.
The Villain's View coming up at 9.
Yeah,
9
geez,
to 11. Wow, that's gonna be a
we'll have-
swear. That's gonna be like 2 hours of swear jar right
We'll have
there.
3 brand new computers, new headsets, a new mic. We'll have all sorts of stuff by 9 o'clock.
And the road.
Oh, no,
There you
by
go.
the time
You'll have
you
the
do that,
road.
I'll have all brand new stuff just from the Thomas the Villain memorial swear jar. Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, check out the new website, gcpr.live. Gilbert did redesign it, and it is incredibly intuitive. It looks fantastic. It's very easy. pleasing on the eye, very easy to use. Let's be honest, things on these screens aren't always pleasing to the eye. This face is not pleasing to the eye. That's why it's a great face for radio. But the website is very easy to use. We invite you all to check it out, to share it with your friends. The GCPR.live website has the synopses of the different shows, bios for hosts, there's pictures. The schedule is there. You just click on the day of the week and you get our entire schedule, our live schedule. You can listen through the website. Should be listening to me right now, or you can be listening to me right now through the website. George will check out what George usually does in the first half hour of the program is make sure that we're actually live on all these places. Because if I try to do it, it'll be silent, and then nobody will know if we're broadcasting because I can't walk and chew gum. I can't sit in this terrible, terrible chair and talk to you all at the same time because my feeble, tiny little brain can't do the two things at the same time. But the GCPR.live website will tell you all of the places where you can watch and listen to us. Everything is there. Want to find the YouTube channel? Click on it. It's there. Want to find the Instagram, the Twitches, the TikToks, all the different places that you can listen to us or watch us, the simulcast, the video simulcast. It's all right there and a very easy to use, very easy to read, very pleasing on the eye website. Really important thing that's on the website that I wanted to tell you about quick is the chance to help us test our Android app. Haven't gotten to the Apple app quite yet. Apparently writing an app is an exceptionally difficult thing to do. But you can help us test our Android app. Just go to the website, gcpr.live. You'll see a link there. Scroll down just a little bit. You'll see a link there called beta testing for our Android app. It would be very similar to the hotmore1.net app. You download it, tap on it, open, and listen. Very, very simple. And you can help us test all that. So please check that out as well. We will be taking your phone calls a little bit later in the program, maybe as early as after 6:30 or our first half hour. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Let me give a quick shout to Randall. Gary Brown has returned to the program after a long absence. Good to see you, sir. Welcome home. I don't think I'm missing anybody quite yet. There's a screen name from Twitch that is not pronounceable because it's a bunch of letters and numbers, but hopefully you know who I'm referring to. Ends in 117. Thank you for giving us a try and for being here. Appreciate it very much. And we very, very much invite your contributions and your interaction with the program, your comments, your questions, all of it. And again, George and I will take you at least till 8. Our Sunday programs seem to be kind of naturally wrapping up around 8. Our open air time is till 9 p.m. And if we are having a great conversation and we have phone calls and any guests that might pop in, our show is a bit of a drop-in center. I do kind of cast a wide net. Then we'll take it up to 9. If not, we'll talk to you as long as, well, I would say as long as I can keep air in my lungs. But I'm already almost out of air. So we'll go as long as I can. That's why I thank God George is here. Because we'll be, at some point, I'm going to have to stop. Like right about now, and try to get some air in my lungs, which continues to be a challenge. Among the many shortcomings of the American healthcare system, and there are many, the American healthcare system is a very, very dichotomous conundrum wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a contradiction, so many different things. All of the different, and I mean every single one of the healthcare professionals that I have seen over the past month to try to help me figure out what is wrong with me beyond the mental capacity, but I mean, what is physically wrong with me? They are angels. They are extraordinary human beings. They are selfless and caring and empathetic. The nurses, the people at the front desk, the security guards, everybody, the doctors, obviously, everyone, literally everyone. But I've gone through now probably a month of testing. I still will occasionally find these little tiny niblets of glue on me from the different EKG pads that have been on my body. And they haven't found a single thing, except that I continue to be properly out of breath, extremely tired, and not just I want to be lazy in my easy chair and watch soccer lazy, but I need to go to bed. I need sleep. I can't get enough sleep. I can't catch my breath. I'm still getting dizzy and lightheaded, and my legs and feet are still swelling. All of which points to either my heart, which they have found nothing wrong with. It is not my lungs, and supposedly is not my blood sugar, but I still really think it's my blood sugar. And it's also part of the reason that the doctors literally and strongly recommended that we not do 5 nights a week anymore, that we cut it back. So we've done that, and we will be. That's why we do the 1 night on, 1 night off, 1 night on, 1 night off. It's just a natural kind of schedule. Speaking of schedule, following us, whenever it is that we click the off button, 8, 8:15, 8:30, 9, the music returns on hot101.net. On GCPR, 9 p.m., The Villain's View. On GCPR from 11 p.m., Conversations with T. Nathan. And then tomorrow morning from 8 a.m., all times Eastern, on GCPR, the broadcast week starts again with Thomas and the Sound of Coffee. And please keep an eye out, especially through this holiday period, for a lot of cross promotion. You will see me on The Villain's View and on The Sound of Coffee and with T. Nathan. You'll see T. Nathan with us. You'll see Thomas with us. You'll see Gretchen and Ben and Brett and all of the hosts at GCPR over the next couple of months. Will be visiting all the other shows so that they can introduce themselves to you, our fine audience, and I can introduce myself to their excellent audiences as well. So we desperately hope that you'll enjoy that and that you can be part of it and join us here in our infancy, really, here at GCPR.live. Phone line, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. I'd like to start by, of course, thanking George for being here. I've already bored him to death. He's reading whatever he's reading. Either that or he's looking shit up for me because I can never look anything up for myself. I'm not that smart. But also, I want to start kind of with where I wanted to start Thursday before the computer crashed. And that is with what we're seeing with these upcoming announced Trump appointees. And, there's a lot of very pithy, cheeky comments that came out of the first Trump regime. And shockingly enough, so many of them still apply. One of which is, elect a clown, expect a circus. And folks, I wish I could say that it is as simple as the circus is coming to town. Except it's not funny. It's not entertaining. It's not joyous. It's not lighthearted. But the circus is coming to town. If 1920s Italy was a circus, the circus is coming to Washington. If 1930s Germany was a circus, the circus is coming to Washington. Now, some of the Trump, let me put it this way, all of the Trump appointed, so far announced appointees, are so desperately bad that some of them are so much worse that some almost look decent. Any of that make sense? It's a little convoluted. Let me try to explain. Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. I will say his name wrong. George will look it up for me and I'll say it wrong. Pete Hegseth, the Fox News contributor for Secretary of Defense. Woman who is Susan Miles, we named for Chief of Staff. Some of these look normal. They look normal in comparison to the extreme awfulness that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Matt Gaetz. They're all awful. I don't think there's a single one of them that is good or competent or worthy of appointment. But it is interesting that some of them are so awful that some of the others actually look good. And what do you think of that? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts about the names that you've seen so far? Because I think it's poor at best. But at the same time, it is exactly what Trump promised. Exactly what Trump promised. Former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin, he actually was in Congress when I was living in New Jersey, closer to the New York City border. I watched Mr. Zeldin in Congress. He was extremely conservative, fiscally, certainly was a bit of a culture warrior on social issues, but he was never MAGA until now. He has been nominated by Trump to head the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Mr. Zeldin has no particular experience in environmental protection. He has an F rating from nearly all of the environmental protection groups, like the Sierra Club, Greenpeace, and so many others. And of course, in his statement thanking Trump and kissing the ring for the nomination, he promised swift deregulation. Project 2025 calls for the elimination of the EPA. That the EPA should be shut down. So Mr. Zeldin, being a complete non-believer in environmental protection, believing global climate change to be a hoax, is promising deregulation and accepting a nomination and a position, and a very well-paid one, by the way. And of course, the envelopes of cash will be able to stuff in his pockets from the oil industry, the chemical industry, forestry, and so on. He will be heading a department he does not believe should exist. Again, very similar to Betsy DeVos at the Department of Education, starting in 2016. Mr. Zeldin will be heading a department that he does not believe should exist. Now, Matt Gaetz, as Attorney General, one of the underrated stories, I think, this week that surrounded Gaetz is that he has already resigned. He was reelected on election day He got reelected in Florida, which says everything about Florida. Really, I don't think you need to know too much about Florida, to be honest with you, but it says a lot about Florida. So he got reelected rather comfortably, and then almost immediately following his nomination for Attorney General by Trump, he resigned his seat in Congress. He is right now a former member of the United States House of Representatives. Why would he do such a thing? Is he so confident that he will be confirmed by the Senate? Well, it turns out, no. He is under ethics investigation by the House Joint Ethics Committee. It is, I believe, the only committee in the U.S. House that has an equal number of Republicans and Democrats. The chief witness in the investigation against former Representative Gates is a woman, unnamed, as she should be, by the way. I'm sure her name is leaked somewhere out there in hate radio circles, but hate media. She'll just stick it to radio. But she testified that at the time she was 17 years old, that a handler was paid quite a large sum of money by Matt Gaetz for her to be delivered to him for him to have sex. She was 17. That is a very brief summation of child sex trafficking. Remember how Republicans, especially during the height of the QAnon era, blamed Democrats for being child sex traffickers and pedophiles? Well, as we know, one of the great things that Republicans are good at is deflection and reflection, and accusing their enemies for doing things, or their perceived enemies, I should say, accusing those that they oppose of doing the exact things that they themselves are doing. One way that you can make an ethics investigation go away is you resign. There is a very different legal standard for members of Congress. They can do the most heinous of things. They can do the sort of white-collar crimes like bribery and influence peddling and write letters on behalf of rich people to government agencies and to foreign leaders, and that permitting process that the local, the more regional oil company needs so they can drill on a piece of land that they would heretofore would not be allowed to drill on. They go visit their local house of their local member of the House or their senator, and wink, 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 make a campaign donation, and then suddenly the permit is put through. The insider trading, which Republicans, of course, made legal again after Democrats made it illegal. Tax evasion, not paying, having a quote-unquote illegal immigrant working as a house servant. How terribly 21st century. And then either not paying the person at all, or holding their green card, or paying them well below a minimum wage, and then paying them in cash so you don't have to pay taxes on any of it. These sort of white-collar crimes tend to disappear, and the ethics investigations that go with it tend to disappear when that member of Congress resigns. And normally they resign because the folks on the ethics committee will tell them quietly, you're guilty of sin, you are. We're not going to have a choice in this report other than to expel you from Congress. So you might just want to step aside and save yourself all of that press. And gee, what a surprise. The report from the ethics committee was supposed to come out last Friday. It has yet, to my knowledge, been published. Mr. Gates is hoping to make it go away by resigning. And when you think about it, the layer of hypocrisy here, layers of hypocrisy here, are staggering as usual, but not really, at the end of the day, terribly difficult or different from what Republicans have done dozens of times previous. It's Mr. Gates who runs around the country trying to blame Democrats and call them pedophiles and so on, when he himself is exactly that. Likes to talk about the corruption of Democrats when clearly he himself is as dirty as any. And he just wants this investigation to go away. In fact, one of his associates is already in prison for child sex trafficking. He was at one of the, I'm going to never remember the gentleman's name. I do remember his picture. Just his picture alone was disturbing. Just kind of the way he carried himself, the video of him going in and out of court, things like that. He, of course, testified that Gates had sexual relations with numerous women who were underage, not just the one that testified to the House Ethics. And the gentleman who's already serving a prison sentence, maybe somebody will look up his name. I'm blanking on it. Was a campaign donation bundler for Gates. In other words, he collected checks from billionaires to finance Gates' various House campaigns. And even some Republicans, of course, have been taken aback at this nomination. Some saying he is not qualified, which is the least of your problems. Others saying that his nomination is disturbing, that it is unwise, that some going as far as to say they were absolutely shocked by it. Now, in all fairness, how any of us can be shocked by anything that comes from Trump anymore, shame on us. But this is the lightning rod nomination that has made us forget about the other nominations and how truly awful they are. Mr. Gates, of course, has a very deeply motivated self-interest in becoming Attorney General because he can shut down all the investigations that continue against him for his child sex trafficking. As Attorney General, he can end all of them. He can also end all the investigations against Trump, and has promised to do so. And I should say, for those of you out there who might think that Gates will never be Attorney General, I offer you this. Trump has floated the idea of two things, two ways to avoid or circumvent the Senate confirmation process. He has suggested that perhaps his nominations be treated like recess nominations, recess nominations they're a method of presidential nomination originally constructed by the framers, but that goes back to a time where Congress met literally only a few months a year. We have to remember that when this country was founded, it was 99+% agrarian. Literally 99% of the economy was farm based. The number one occupation in the country was farmer. Those very same farmers were elected to the House of Representatives at the same time that they had to maintain their farms. So Congress generally met over the winter. They might start meeting at the end of September, October. They'd recess for Thanksgiving and Christmas and come back in January, February. And by March, they were essentially done and all back at their farms preparing for planting season. So the framers constructed an idea that the executive, which would be a full-time position, a full-time 12-month position, would have the ability to fill cabinet positions and appointments when Congress was not in session. Hence the recess appointment. And Trump would like to have all of his appointments treated as recess appointments, meaning they would never have to testify in front of the various Senate committees, talk about their qualifications, what they plan to do in these various appointments. They would just simply become part of the cabinet. The reason Trump wants this is because they would be permanent members of the cabinet. Recess appointments are permanent. They are not acting secretaries. There are laws that restrict the abilities of acting secretaries, the most obvious of which is that they are only allowed to serve for a limited amount of time. And I believe that limitation is 120 days. I don't even think it's half the year. I think it's 120 days or 4 months. So why am I explaining all of this? Because sometimes my own brain goes, and I don't remember the rant that I started on. The point of this rant is to tell you this. Even though there are some Republican senators that are shocked by the Matt Gaetz appointment, that don't believe Pete Hegseth, and again, I might be saying his name wrong. His first name might not be Pete, but I think I have it right. And I might be mispronouncing his last name, which I do not mean to do intentionally. It's disrespectful. I think I have it right, but I very well could not. A man who did serve our country with great honor and bravely by all accounts for more than 2 decades, but has never run a business or an agency or a nonprofit or anything to the point that he would be qualified to run a $1 trillion agency with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of employees. If you want to count the actual in-uniform troops, millions of employees, as well as over $1 trillion in defense contracts. He's nowhere near qualified, none. But yet he looks damn good compared to Matt Gaetz. But what Trump, I've told you a million times during the campaign, listen to what Trump is saying. He's telling you exactly who he is. He's telling you what he stands for. He's telling you what he's going to do. By publicly demanding that the Senate quickly and without confirmation hearings, approve all of his nominees. What is he saying? Well, he's saying a lot of different things, among which the constitutional norms of testimony, hearings, and floor votes, in other words, the Constitution, he has no time for that. He does not want these people subjected to open public testimony. He simply wants them installed. He also promised that he was going, well, he lied to you for years that he had nothing to do with Project 2025. And then within a few days after the election, folks like Matt Walsh and Stephen Miller said, oh yeah, Project 2025 is the plan. It has been the plan all along. We just didn't want to tell you. Trump wants these people because they believe in Project 2025. They will do what the authors and sponsors of Project 2025 will be paying these people to do, which is destroy government. Pete Hegseth is the kind of guy that when Trump says, I want military people on the streets beating the hell out of protesting college students, he's going to make it happen. When Trump tells Hegseth, immigration services can't deport people fast enough, they need more bodies, send them troops, he will. Hegseth in the past has complained that Ukraine, about a wasted effort, waste of arms, waste of money in Ukraine. And yet he looks like a golden Oscar statue compared to Matt Gaetz. So these people are going to be the cabinet. Gaetz is going to be Attorney General. He might be an acting Attorney General. Again, Trump has ignored the time limits and restraints of an acting cabinet official compared to an actual full-fledged one. But these people are going to serve. And I use the term serve very loosely. And they're going to do exactly what the billionaires behind Project 2025 will be paying them to do. They're going to do these things. They will be serving. They just will be. Get used to it. Not because I'm happy about it, not because I particularly think they're qualified. They are none of the above. But he's going to get what he wants. Republicans have full control of government. They will have control of the House of Representatives. They will have control of the Senate. We already know they own the Supreme Court. Trump's going to get the people he wants. Period. And it might just be, the most obvious example in the history of our country of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And very much of two minds following this election. Of course, I'm angry and depressed, and we've begun searching out our possibilities for how to continue to live this life, whatever amount of it I might have left, which I don't think is terribly much, and I'm quite happy about that. But what do we do? Do we stay here in the Lehigh Valley? Do we move to New Jersey? The easiest, quickest thing would be to just move to New Jersey, to move to a blue state. Or Maryland. We've actually talked about Maryland. And we've had a little bit of discussion about Delaware. Do we look overseas? Try and get out of the country? So one part of my mind is there. Another part of my mind is, no, you know what? It's time to double down and fight. And if I end up in a concentration camp, then oh well. Because it's the right thing to do. And because some of the great Democratic names of the past would do exactly that. They would not crawl away or leave the country or live what is in essence an exile, would double down and fight harder. The main famous branch of the Kennedy family, the Roosevelts, Trumans. And I know, by the way, I'm not going to name all Democrats here, but people who are certainly a hell of a lot more Democratic than any so-called Republican currently. The Eisenhowers, the Teddy Roosevelts of the world, the Washingtons, the Lincolns, the Jeffersons, the Madisons, the Alexander Hamiltons, the Jimmy Carters, those folks would fight harder. They would double down and fight harder. And so there's a big part of me that thinks, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get pissed off and fight harder. And then there's a part of me that's kind of somewhere in the middle thinking, yeah, moving to Jersey's probably smart. But then, you know what? I'm out. I'm going to back out. And I'll suffer like all the rest of you. Because as long as I'm within these borders, I'm in the same boat as the rest of you. But when Social Security is gone, when Medicare is gone, when the Department of Education is eliminated and all the federal funding that goes with it, and our property taxes double, triple, quadruple to make up for the money that our school districts would normally be getting from the federal government. When all of our special needs children are literally thrown into the wind because the federal Department of Education is no longer there to fund their educations, to advocate for them, to fight for them. When the sons and daughters of the working poor, or the non-working at all, are thrust into another billionaire requested war to protect oil deposits or shipping lanes or cheap labor. When my Latino friends are thrust into the back of a van in handcuffs and driven to the border and thrown over the other side, even though they're legal American citizens. There's a part of me that wants to just sit back on my front porch with my arms crossed and wave as they go by. Because sometimes you get exactly the government you voted for. Sometimes you get exactly the government you deserve. We've already begun to see the ramifications of the upcoming second Trump regime. We saw the Dow, the markets drop last week, largely because of the nomination of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head the Department of Health and Human Services, and pharma stocks took a big dive because he is not just suspect of vaccinations, he is flat out anti-vaccination. And big pharma companies make big money on vaccinations. We've also seen interest rates tick up a bit. Inflation has ticked up a bit. Corporations are now hoarding supplies and parts, expecting tariffs. We're already seeing a change in the anticipation of what is coming. And while I will be suffering right along with you, I mean, I might broadcast this program from a camp at some point before I pass into the next realm. But there's a good part of me that, even though I'll be suffering with you, that kind of says, you know what, F you. You got what you wanted. 55% of the country wanted this. They wanted an end to democracy. They wanted to burn it all down because a loaf of bread costs too much money. They're ready to take a torch to the Constitution. Be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you get it. Sometimes you get exactly the government you voted for. Sometimes you get exactly the government you deserve. A poll of Americans this week said that most Americans, I believe it was somewhere in the high 60s or 70s percentiles, said they will be spending less money this Christmas because they expect costs of their daily lives to increase under Trump, even though they voted for him. They think their costs are going to go up. As Democrats, as a state committee member for the Pennsylvania State Democratic Party, and just as a Democrat, even if I was none of those things, even if I wasn't involved in politics, even if I didn't do this program, as Democrats, we have a lot of self-reflection to do. We have to examine why we are not connecting with people. We have to examine how we are not connecting with people to a point that when they know they're going to suffer under Trump, they'll vote for him anyway. We have a lot of self-reflection to do. We have a lot of work to do. This is not the end of the Democratic Party. We aren't going anywhere, except perhaps for concentration camps. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of self-reflection to do. Easy for me to say, or not. So I'm of two minds. That self-reflection has to happen. We have to stiffen our spines, sit up straight, put our big boy pants on, or big girl pants, and fight hard. We have to have the difficult conversations. We have to go to the red hats and say, what are we missing here? You educate us. Tell us what we missed. And those are going to be hard conversations. They're also going to be inanely stupid, many of them. Because in a world where facts no longer matters, it's kind of hard to run on facts. But we have a lot of work to do. But I also think it's going to be part of us. A part of us. There's going to be a percentage of Democrats. But there's going to be a part of all of us that is going to watch the chaos and say, you got exactly what you wanted. I mean, I just have to ask, given these new rules now, do I get to keep my Harris Walls sign out for the next 4 years? I'm just a little confused with the new rules. Do I get to buy a Chinese-made flag the size of the entire front of my home that says, "Don't blame me, I voted for Harris"? Am I allowed to do that now? Because the other side sure as hell did it for 8 years. And for the last 4, bitching and whining and lying about election interference. So am I now allowed to do that, or will I be the subject of some sort of attack or vandalism at my home? Vandalism is the word I was trying to grab out of the ether. Will I be subject to some sort of vandalism and physical attack for doing so? Because we're living to a very double standardized, double standardized grammar. Anyone? We live in a very George is smiling. He's like, yeah, Bueller. We live in a very double standard world now. So can I keep all my Democratic campaign signs out for 4 years? With "I told you so," and can I put a "fuck Trump" flag up? He's not my president. Upside down American flag. Can I hang my "Don't Tread on Me" flag now? Maybe a blue "Don't Tread on Me" flag. What are the rules now? And by the way, if I did, how is it any different? Children on the other side? Seems to me I get to do all these things now. And it just might. 7:02 Eastern Time. We have entered the second hour. The Kennedy Effect, live with you for the 17th. I just had a brain cramp. What the hell is today? It's the 17th, right? Thank you. I just had a complete brain cramp. I forgot what the hell the date was. Wow. This is what's coming your way, America One. Get ready. I completely forgot what the hell day was. Anyway, the 17th of November, 2024. You can watch us right now live on the Facebook pages of the TCP Media Group, Hot101.net, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, and Ghost Law Productions. We are also live on my own Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy, and of course, our home group Facebook page for all things that surround our program, a home group that we invite you to be a member of. If you are not already, please come, please visit our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information, and be part of our radio family. You can watch us live right now on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is also called That Other Side of Information. It is also the best place to catch up on our program if you should happen to miss a program or you can't stay with us for the entirety of a program. Every time that we finish a live broadcast on our YouTube channel, it is there to be watched as a recording. It stays there. You never have to miss a thing. Maybe sometimes you think the show's so terrible, you wish you were missing it, but you don't have to. You can go to our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. All of our live broadcasts are right there for you to check out. Not just the most recent ones, but the very, very first one. And if I'm not mistaken, I think even some of our goofy technical tests are still there too, which are actually quite funny. We are live right now on Twitch. Go to twitch.com and just search for Jeff R as in Robert, Kennedy. Jeff R. Kennedy on Twitch. We are also on LinkedIn, at Jeff Kennedy as well. The audio of the program blasting around the globe via 2 global internet radio stations. One, of course, one of the very first global radio internet stations. That is hot101.net. Our name is our web address, hot101.net. Our name is our web address. Type that into a search engine. You'll come to our main website page, and you can listen. That simple. Piece of cake. You can also use our apps. Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for Android devices, and for all others, the TuneIn radio app. Stream it in your car to headset, earbuds, speakers, and you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. And of course, also through GCPR.live, GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, .live. Go to that website. Recently redesigned. It is beautiful. And I'm not just saying that because I am co-own the station. I'm saying it because it's really, really a great website. It's very visually pleasing. It's very easy to use. Very, very easy to use. You can see our schedule, our broadcast schedule, read about the different shows and hosts. You can listen live through the website, gcpr.live. You can also find all the places where you can watch our video simulcasts and listen to the program. And we invite you to do exactly that. The phone line is open, 267-227-9189. Did I say the right number? Holy God, my brain is shutting down. I did say the right number. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. Phones are going to be, there it is. There's the thing that I needed. Let me just go all the way out of frame and find it for you. Look at George is just shaking his head like a parent, like a disappointed parent. Like, oh, God, why don't you have this stuff ready? Phone lines will be the same old-fashioned way. You can hear me. I can hear you. George can hear you. You will not be able to hear George. Please, if you call in, the conversation now becomes over the phone. Please do not try to listen to us in the background. There is a delay of up to 10 seconds. It is extremely confusing. It's just very natural. You hear me on the phone. You hear me on the whatever device that you might be taking us in on, except you hear me 10 seconds ago. It's very confusing. If you should be kind enough, if you should want to call in, be a part of the program, stop listening to whatever you're listening to in the background and listen to us over the phone to avoid that confusion. No one's dumb. Nobody's stupid. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm not, rapping you across the knuckles with a ruler. It just kind of is what it is. It's kind of how it works. It's very confusing if you try to listen to the stream that is running 10 seconds behind and listen to me on the phone. It's very confusing. You can't do both. So if you're kind enough to call, oh, shoot. That's pretty stupid of me. Oh, of course, it's going to take a year and a half. Yes, I should turn and do not disturb call. I would be smart, George. What do you think? Stop blocking the phone line as you're giving it out to people. That would be pretty smart, wouldn't it? Oh, my goodness gracious. Anyway, 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. 227-9189. I am not even sharing that picture that you sent me, sir, because that is disturbing on many, many, many levels. That is properly disturbing. Before anyone calls, or I shouldn't say that, as we wait for phone callers, and I did kind of the business end of the program, I want to expand just a tiny bit on the business end. Actually, no, I'm going to back up because I forgot that there were comments I wanted to get to. My apologies to everybody. I tell you how much I want you to comment, and then I forget to go to them Randall says, have you seen the clown car show on Trump's plane where Trump, Musk, Jr., or K Jr. are all eating McDonald's with House Speaker Mike Johnson? Interesting little story that even in the throes of this campaign and the desperate amount of sucking up to Trump that RFK Jr. was doing, he took a shot at Trump and said, I can't comprehend how the man eats. He eats nothing natural. He doesn't really eat food. He stuffs things in his face. He consumes, but it's nothing that I would call food. There are no fruits. There are no vegetables. There are no. It's. In fact, I think Trump doesn't even take in caffeine. He drinks soft drinks, in other words, soda or pop, depending on where you are in the country. Fizzy drinks, if you're from overseas, and eats McDonald's or KFC. That's it. And that's by Trump's own admission, by the way. Now, I assume when he's having some kind of black tie affair at Mar-a-Lago, he probably eats the food that's put in front of him there. But generally speaking, he eats KFC or McDonald's and drinks soda. And that's it. How the man isn't dead yet, I have no idea. Other than to say, most of that food has so much preservatives in it, he's probably embalmed from the inside out. But Trump doesn't like it when you take a shot at it. He doesn't like to be made fun of. He doesn't like to be criticized about anything. Now, these comments came out before Trump nominated RFK Jr. to be the head of Health and Human Services. By the way, Project 2025 calls for the elimination of the Department of Health and Human Services because it's expensive. Billionaires don't want to pay taxes. But I thought that was just interesting. And Randall's comment, of course, reminds me of that. You see me moving my chair, I'm kicking off my slippers because my feet begin to sweat and swell. But yeah, cool comment by Randall. Thank you for that, sir. But again, you know, the kind of funny, silly saying, like the clown, like the circus. Mike having a go at me for doom scrolling again. Truth is not always pretty. It's not always doom. It's not doom scrolling when it's true. Sadly. Randall, that he watched the movie Civil War, thought it was a very good movie and highly recommends it. I watched as well. I thought it was very well made. It was very realistic. It was not cheaply made. The only thing is that I think from a political standpoint, it's very gutless. It does not explain how this Second American Civil War starts or why it starts. And the main combatants, if you will, in this Civil War are the United States Armed Forces, kind of the loyal states fighting under the American flag versus what's called, was it the Western Powers, and a military alliance between California and Texas, which is tantamount to a military alliance between North and South Korea. And I think that was done by the producers, writers of the movie to try to stay somehow politically neutral, which I think is a tad gutless. But at the same time, I think the movie itself is very well made. And it is very thought-provoking about how this country would deteriorate into chaos and into, you know, how these private, non-sanctioned, self-identified militias become actual fighting forces, and how the mass proliferation of weapons in this country becomes a factor. I think that part is very well highlighted by the movie. And Randall might have a different opinion, and God bless him, he's certainly welcome to it, at least until the Trump regime takes our opinions away from us. But that said, I highly recommend it myself. I think you should watch it. I think it's a very well made movie. I think you'll enjoy it. It's disturbing. You don't get to the end of it and say, "Oh, that was a fun movie, wasn't it?" Because it isn't. But I think it's highly entertaining, and I think you should consider watching it. Randall recommends it highly. I recommend it as well. Perhaps not as highly, but I think it's still worth. I think it's still worth a go. I think it's still worth a look. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. I did enable. I did, right? I did enable phone calls. Hopefully. Supposedly everything's working. Oh, I should apologize to you for last Thursday. I got on, or I came upstairs here to the studio. I started booting everything up, and I realized the background noises weren't working. Not unusual. Tried to push past it. Sent my messages to George that I was in the talk studio. He can sign in anytime he wants. He did. He could hear me in a double. He could literally hear two streams of my voice. And they were, I think, a couple seconds apart. He said everything was in an echo, as did many of you. I could not hear him. I could see him. He was moving very choppy, very early days of the internet kind of thing. What we had to do, my intention was to quickly reboot and come back with you. That just didn't happen. We were able to do a reboot, but it took a long time. We probably would not have been able to rejoin you for until maybe 20 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour, or 15 minutes or so, and that I say this very, very respectfully, just wasn't worth it, because we really couldn't have gotten a heck of a lot done. We had a show coming up after us, and of course, given the fact that the show that didn't work right was shared out to Facebook, we would have been stopped from sharing anything, so we couldn't do that. So it just made more sense to not come back on. So I apologize to all of you who may have been waiting for us to return. It just wasn't happening. My all of you. That. We had. Oh, let me turn the speaker on. Let me turn the speaker up. Area code something. I don't know what.
It's Randall.
Oh, all right. I didn't even get to see what the heck number rang in, my friend. How are you feeling? Before we get into anything serious, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty good. I did a little too much inhalation of leaf dust because
Yeah.
It's dust.
Yeah.
We haven't had rain.
Well, hasn't rained in like a month.
We're all on no fires, no recreational fires. Just the tinderbox waiting to happen.
Yep.
Here in the Mid-Atlantic states and the Northeast.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. We had one day where we got some rain this past week, but it wasn't nearly enough to really put a dent in this drought. But I would say, without trying to bore everybody with details, the ground, the ground is actually very dusty here. You can walk in the grass and it will crunch under your feet, even though a good proportion of it is still green. It kind of crunches under your feet. And the places where the grass has either died or it's been cut too short or it's in the shade and it's just dirt, the dirt stayed moist for one of my least favorite words in the English language, moist. It just sounds uncomfortable, but stayed kind of muddy and for days afterward, which I thought was very interesting, considering how desperate for rain we are. Pennsylvania, not all of Pennsylvania, but a majority of it, as Randall mentioned, is at a red alert sort of drought status. There is an open burn ban, meaning if you have a fire pit in your backyard, you can't use it. If you have a big piece of property and you burned leaves, as many people still do, you can't do that. We did have a major forest fire, or wildfire, I should say, here in the Lehigh Valley at Blue Mountain Ski Resort. About 600 acres were burned. Not the kind of fires that they're used to seeing out west, where millions of acres are burned. But for us here, it's a big deal. There was a forest fire, or not a forest fire. They don't call them that anymore. Wildfires. There's a wildfire, actually multiple wildfires in New Jersey. They're having a drought as well. I think among the spending that New Jersey is doing to try to climate change proof itself, including offshore wind investments in solar, tax credits for electric cars, electric car infrastructure, and so on. I believe she being the state of New Jersey. Do we still refer to things like that, she? Do we still refer to ships and so on as she? I believe they need to seriously consider a desalinization plant. The ability to take in ocean water, remove the salt, purify it, and make drinking water of it, I think would be exceptionally valuable. And even if they didn't make drinking water out of it, at least water to be used for what water can be used for showers and for watering the ground and preventing fires and so on and so on. But I'm getting on a soapbox. It's Randall's phone call that I just kind of hijacked. So go ahead, sir. Sorry about that.
I want to talk about the movie Civil War.
Go for it.
There was just a little. I'm lost for a word, but there was a mention that the president had been serving 3 terms that the population was revolting against. I don't know if you caught that or not when you watched the movie.
I didn't actually, and I did watch it from the very first moment, and I did not catch that. I think the only real brave thing that the movie did from a political standpoint was Nick Offerman plays the president in this movie, with the exception of the very traditional, very 70s bushy Nick Offerman mustache that if you Google a picture of Nick Offerman, you're going to know who he is right away. He was in Parks and Rec. He's a comedic actor. He's also a very good character actor, a very underrated actor, actually. He's known mostly for his comedic roles, but he's a very good actor. He looks very much like Reagan. Did you think, Randall, with the hair and so on? And like the hair color was like kind of just fake enough that you knew it wasn't real. You know what I mean? Like it looked like terribly dyed hair. So with the exception of the very, very thick and bushy Nick Offerman standard mustache, he looked very much like Reagan. That was a bit of a, I would call that a bit of a brave move by the producers and writers of the movie. I actually missed what Randall just brought up, but I guess it would make sense. But I think the movie had the opportunity to make a lot of substantial political statement, and it did not. But it's a very good representation of how quickly this country could descend into nothingness. I mean, large swaths of the country do not have electricity. The United Nations actually begins to run refugee camps inside American territory. I just thought inflation skyrockets. You see the main characters who are kind of on a road trip to cover this war. And I use that term very intentionally to not give away what happens in the movie. But they try to buy gas at one point, and I think that the gas is like a you remember what scene I'm talking about, Randall? I think they spent a couple $100 for gas.
The one
because the money's no longer worth anything, like that kind of thing.
they offered $300 US, and the guy says, "I want to buy me a cheeseburger."
Yeah,
And then she said 300 Canadian dollars. Well, they got the gas.
right. Yeah, I found that very interesting. That one I raised an eyebrow at. That was really something special.
It reminds me of history. It reminds me of the days of warm beer and the early Weimar Republic, where the right wing was fighting the communists, Spartacus, and it was called the days of warm beer because it was guaranteed that if you went into a bar, you would buy 2 beers because by the time you finished one, it would be double in price.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Hyperinflation.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like Lawrence O'Donnell's cameo part in it.
Oh, yes. I did see that. Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a very good movie. It's a very good movie, and it's very disturbing. And I think it's a very thought-provoking movie, which movies should be. If you're going to make a movie about such a heavy topic, it better be thought-provoking. I just thought they missed a couple chances to go well beyond that. But I highly recommend it. I think it's very much worth watching, and I hope that you all will, because the discussion that Randall's bringing to the program tonight, having watched it, are discussions we need to have. Maybe the movie will be so disturbing to you that you'll want to see anything, that you'll want to stop the second civil war in this country at any cost. Maybe you'll see, your neighbors who dress up like military people and think they're part of a militia. You're going to see some of those people in this movie. It's disturbing the way the press is generally treated in this movie by what's left of the government and by these so-called militia people is also exceptionally disturbing. The scene that Randall's talking about, it does not give away the movie by any stretch, that they're just trying to get gas at a gas station. These so-called, some local, I guess you'd call them rednecks, Randall, right? They just want to get a tank of gas.
I would call that was before they got to Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So they were going. So it's the Tucky part of Pennsylvania.
So they pull up to a gas station. They're trying to fill up, and these armed private citizens are armed. They're not dressed up like militia. They're in their t-shirts and jeans and John Deere hats, but they're armed to the teeth. And so we're not, and like Randall says, one of the characters says, "I'll give you $300 for a tank of gas." And nothing. It means nothing to me. And then as soon as one of the Kirsten Dunst's character, the main character of the movie, says it's Canadian dollars, he goes, "Yep, I'll take it." And it's very interesting. It's just it's eyebrow raising. It perks your ears up. You're already paying attention to the movie, but you pay attention at a different level when you hear that, because it really makes you think. And it's I highly recommend it. I just think they missed a couple opportunities. Let's put it that way. But anyway, you didn't answer me. You did not answer me completely. I know it's been dusty. I know the air quality has not been good. But how are you? Are you staying indoors? Are you relying more on your medicine? Just how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm relying on my medicine. Kids and grandkids came over to help me, but I already started and raised a bunch of dust. I should have been wearing. And I do have them in the house. I don't have just KN95s. I have K95 masks, and I should have one on because there was so much dust.
Yeah.
From these leaves just disintegrating because they're so dry, versus years in the past I'd be raking wet leaves.
Yeah.
To be picked up. But anyway, getting back to the scene where they had the UN camp distributing food and tent shelters to the displaced American population, families with children playing games. It was in a stadium that had been graffitied, and at the top, in giant graffiti letters was Antietam.
Yeah.
And they had a little discussion there. We started this protest as Antietam members that started this revolution, Second American Revolution. So there's little subtleties that you'd have to watch. If you weren't really paying attention, you'd miss those little subtleties of exactly who is in the White House.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I recommend it. It's worth a watch.
It's obviously not Trump. Trump would be long dead after 3 consecutive terms. But it's somebody on the wrong side, as far as I'm concerned, of America.
Yeah. Yep.
And the last point I want to make about the movie is California and Texas have the most number and types of armed forces of any specific state other than themselves. There's more Air Force. There's more Army Air Force. There's more. Texas is just loaded with tanks.
Yeah.
With other personnel carriers, et cetera, and that's what I when I started watching it, I felt kind of strange. California, a liberal state, at least 2/3 in the South, and Texas, predominantly a conservative state. And here, these two are leading the revolution of other states joining in. And then I thought, well, if it's repression going on, if it's hyperinflation going on, if there's all the different scenes of unrest and violence going on, and no electricity, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah, I could see them banding together to put our country right again. But anyway, that's all hypothetical, fictional future. I hope it does not come to that, as you do. I want to just make another point. The interesting thing about that photograph on Trump's plane with JFK Jr. there, yeah, he's eating McDonald's. Mr. I'm all for healthy eating and I'm for clean up over processed foods and get them out of our cells, et cetera, et cetera. And there he is.
You know what that proves? You know what that proves, though?
They're hypocrites. It proves they're hypocrites.
Well, it's not. There's that too. There is that part of it. But do you know what it also proves, at least from my point of view? That even a man who is the living, or supposed to be, the direct descendant of Bobby Kennedy, was the man who's supposed to be the living legacy of his father, and who was for a great deal of his life. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was one of the preeminent environmental lawyers on the planet. He defeated some of the largest polluters and fossil fuel companies and chemical companies in the world, and did it for free on behalf of marginalized communities who were poisoned by these companies. He was a genuine champion for the voiceless. And it proves that even when you're Robert F. Kennedy Jr., even when your last name is Kennedy, you still want to fit in with the boys. You still sometimes just want to be one of the boys. And rather than standing up on that plane and saying, fellas, this stuff's going to kill you. Do you know what's in this? Do you know what's not in this? He sat back, shut up, and ate it along with the rest of them. Now look, him eating it for the first time in decades, other than potentially sending him to the men's room a little bit too often, it's not going to kill him. It's not. If I eat McDonald's even once a month, it's not going to kill me. It's probably not going to adversely affect my health in any significant way. But when you're Trump, and all you do is eat McDonald's or KFC, again, by his own admission, you would think eventually it would kill you. And here he is now. He's obese, morbidly obese. He's pushing 300 pounds. All the artificial chemicals in the spray tan. He's set, and somehow he's made it to 78. I have no idea how. I don't know how. I think any normal person would be dead by now. And it just kind of proves that even when you carry one of the most famous family names in the history of the United States, sometimes you just sit back and quiet, you accept the peer pressure, and you just want to be one of the boys. You just want to be accepted. I'm not justifying it. I'm not trying to give him a pass for it. I'm just trying to explain it a little bit from my point of view. And perhaps if RFK Jr. was sitting right here with me, and again, he wouldn't know me if he tripped over me. But maybe if he was sitting here, he'd say, you're full of baloney. I don't care about that or any of that. I just wanted to have a Big Mac. Okay. Well, you know, that's America, at least for now. We'll see how it is on January 21st, 2025. You know, we'll see what's left of us. But, you know, it might be a simple explanation of just, felt like having a Big Mac with the lads. Okay. Sure. But I think looking at it from a little bit of a distance, even the most famous name in the country wants to be accepted and wants to just be one of the boys and doesn't want to start any conflict or a fight or an argument. At least that's how I look at it. Randall, what else you got, my friend?
Well, besides the clown car getting even more clownish day by day,
yep.
I'm glad when you started, you know, at the beginning of the program, you explained to people that didn't already know that how Trump can put every one of his people as secretaries, as administrators of agencies, et cetera, by the thousands.
Yep.
By, you know, following what is in the U.S. Constitution. And I'm glad you explained it was because of the time element and the travel distances of how you can do a recess appointment. And he's already asked he's already asked the new Senate Majority Leader
Mhm.
to call a recess.
Yep.
So he can just put everybody in, and there's no questions on alleged pedophile. There's no questions on this person. Why do you have so much allegiance to Russia? And yet you're going to be in charge of all national intelligence.
Yep.
And we can get a list. You know we can get down a list.
Oh yeah.
Of how scary it is. My wife just keeps telling me, Randall, you got to quit with social media. You got to quit on your Facebook. Yeah, she's worried about me.
She might not be wrong. I actually want to talk about social media before we end the program. We're going to talk about Twitter and Blue Sky before we wrap up.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
I'm so glad you're going to talk about Blue Sky. I'm so glad you dropped.
Well, we're gonna talk about that when you get done.
Blue Sky.
Yeah. What else you got? Anything?
Well, you got rain last week. A half inch, not half inch, quarter inch up there in Lehigh Valley, and we got jacked down here in Delaware County. And I'm just praying that Thursday we get something, but the ground is so hard that it just sit there if it doesn't all run off to the stormwater mains and run to the creeks and run to the Delaware River, it'll just sit there because the soil can't absorb.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the people that up your way and in the mountains and stuff that have, and in New Jersey and Delaware that have wells that are running dry or have already totally dried up because the aquafill is been lowered with no rain for 3 months. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll let you know. But hey, God bless. And George, if you're still listening, God bless you and your family. And I'll talk to you.
I'm sure I will talk to you either Tuesday, Thursday, or next Sunday. But if by some not so stretch of the imagination I should forget, I hope I'll be the first or among the first to wish you and yours a very, very healthy, happy, quiet, restful, reflective Thanksgiving. Because this Thursday we're only a week away already from Thanksgiving. So I know that I'll talk to you before that, but just while I have it on my brain, let me just say to you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much.
All right,
God bless you.
You got it. I'll talk to you soon. So Randall reminded me of something that I wanted to talk to you about at the beginning of the program. I said I would get to it, and then I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I kind of wanted to get into the cabinet first, and this kind of dichotomous thing that's happening in my own brain of wanting to fight harder, and yet also I just want to kind of watch from my front porch as the white vans come and take away all the Latinos who voted for Trump, and kind of wave at them as they go by. And I'm not necessarily proud of that feeling, by the way, but I'm a bit tossed up at this moment. But this is something that I wanted to do that I've talked about doing on the program before. The phone line is now open again. It is 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. 227-227-9189. About a week ago, I created an account on Blue Sky. It's a social media platform. In its construction, in its operation, that's not the right word, in its formatting, let me put it that way. In its formatting, very similar to Twitter. It was created by former Twitter creator Jack Dorsey. And just since the election, well over 1 million people have left Twitter and gone to Blue Sky, including media outlets, media figures, authors, politicians, former politicians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I did the same thing. Many moons ago, we talked about Twitter on this program. Do you stay a part of Twitter and fight from within, or do you leave it? In fact, so I came to a decision, and I started a Blue Sky. And what I'd like to do, if I can find the email, it was not the thing that put me over the edge for making the decision, but it certainly helped. Yes, I did. Woohoo! I saved it. This is a statement from The Guardian. As you well know, it's a bit long, but I'll try to skim through it and get to the good parts. As you well know, if you're familiar with the program, The Guardian was my singular go-to media site. And it was free. And then they put it behind a paywall, and it's a bit of a restrictive paywall, by the way. You can access 20 free articles every 30 days. So really less than an article a day. So it has not, it is no longer really part of my media landscape. I'm groping for words, can you tell? So I just don't use it anymore. Unless I still get news alerts from them, which will tend to prompt me to go to other news sites to read about it. If it's an article that I can go into the app and look at the headlines, but the instant I tap on an article, then I've used one of my 20 in a 30-day period. So I tend to headline scroll and then possibly look for those headlines at other sites that I don't have to pay for. So there's that. But so The Guardian put out a statement that they have left Twitter. The Guardian is no longer available through Twitter. They are no longer posting there. They are no longer putting articles and headlines there. And they released a statement as to why they did that. Their doing this was not my final push to do what I'm going to do with you before we sign off, but it sure as hell helped. So here's what I have. I'm starting to grasp for air. Can you tell? Makes for great radio. I told George once, I told Thomas, when I was really in the throes of this, I am feeling better. I am not normal. There's something wrong. But I am feeling better. That, it'd be a great headline and ratings grabber if I died live on the air. The only problem with the trick is I can only do it once. But anyway, here's the Guardian's statement on why they left Twitter. Because I think it's very interesting. You're talking about one of the major media outlets on Earth. It is very widely read, widely respected, widely regarded, based in the UK, but very internationally known. Some of the best reporting on what is happening inside the United States and the United States government and United States politics comes from The Guardian. Because The Guardian's number one mission, by their own standards, is actually reporting news, not entertainment. So it's a highly respected source. I have recommended it since the beginning that I used it. I continue to recommend it if you want to pay for it. I don't. I can't pay for it. I can't afford it. But if you wish to pay for it, if the few bucks that they're looking for is okay with you, I highly recommend The Guardian. It's very much worth it. I just don't have the money. But they wrote a letter. It's pretty simple, and I wanted to share it with you. So this is from The Guardian, written by The Guardian. We wanted to let readers know that we are no longer posting from any official Guardian editorial accounts on the social media site X, formerly Twitter. We think that the benefits of being on X are now outweighed by the negatives, and that resources could be better used promoting our content elsewhere. This is something we have been considering for a while, given the often disturbing content promoted or found on the platform, including far-right conspiracy theories and racism. The U.S. presidential election campaign served only to underline what we have considered for a long time, that X is a toxic media platform and that its owner, Elon Musk, has been able to use its influence to shape political discourse. X users will still be able to share our articles, and the nature of live news reporting means we will still occasionally embed content from X within our article pages. Our reporters will also be able to carry on using the site for news gathering purposes, just as they use other social media networks in which we don't officially engage. Social media can be an important tool for news organizations and help us to reach new audiences, but at this point, X now plays a diminished role in promoting our work. Our journalism is available and open to all on our website, and we would prefer people come to theguardian.com and support the work there. So that led me to think, or it helped me to think, that yeah, it's time now. So what I'm going to do with you all, and again, the phone line is open, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189. So what I'm going to do here is, this is my home screen. You'll see in the fourth row, second in is a big X. That would be Twitter. What I'm going to go into my settings and support, settings and privacy, I think it is. Nope, it's not there. Where did George go when I need him? Go into, I think it's edit profile. Nope, it's not edit profile. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't remove my ability to do it at this point. Goodness gracious, where did it go? It's not profile. Goodness. Well, here's one thing I'll do. Let me put it this way. Let me go. Now I
It's press and hold.
Wait, first off, let me compose a tweet.
Okay.
Goodbye, X. The good memories are too far in the past and with previous ownership. Look forward to seeing you all and meeting up again on Blue Sky. We'll post that. So there's my last tweet. You still call them that? You don't call them X's, do you? I guess I'm going to. I guess X is going to be one of my X's. All right. So where is it? Because now I've lost it. I thought it was in settings and privacy.
What? To
You know what I want? I want to. You know what I want to do?
You well.
Where? Why have I lost it? Where is it?
You want to get into the actual app itself.
I am.
And then go down. Go to deactivate your account.
That's not here.
In the Twitter account.
I mean, my profile's here. I can, in edit profile, I can't do that. That doesn't allow me to delete it.
So it says go to it says go to the Twitter login page and sign in. Check your profile icon in the top left corner.
But I'm already signed in. Do I have to sign out?
No. Select settings and privacy.
I did that. Your account.
Click your account.
Got it.
Select deactivate your account.
And deactivate.
It says read the information, confirm your decision by clicking deactivate, enter your password, and click deactivate account to confirm.
Is deactivated.
After you deactivate your account and you leave it for like 30 days,
now I am going to tap on the app and
you're going to remove it.
I know, I'm trying to be visual.
I know.
And delete. Yes.
Delete, yeah.
And delete. And bye-bye.
And bye-bye.
And so now, please allow me to introduce to you. If I can ever figure out how to move the Blue Sky over, I think I may have.
You press and hold until all of the icons kind of quiver.
You got it.
And then hold it and then move it over.
I did it. I probably couldn't do it again if my life depended on it, but I did it.
You move it.
Now on my main page, I have the things I use the most on my very first. I mean, I have pages of apps, but the ones I really use on a regular basis are on the front page, if you will. And you will now see, whoops, front camera. The light is kind of killing it a little bit. Is a blue square with a butterfly in it. Very difficult to see the way I'm doing this. I can't find a way to take the glare away. Is Blue Sky. I highly recommend Blue Sky. It is what Twitter used to be. There's definitely politics here. There's definitely opinion here. I would say that it is largely left leaning. I almost had a very. I almost Elmer fudded that word. I almost said left leaning. I almost did not Elmer Fudd on that one. It is left leaning because I think most of the people who occupy it now are left leaning. but it is not exclusively left-leaning. I have not found any of the vicious attacks here. I've found none of the racism. I have found none of the misinformation, none of the lies, none of the Russian trolling, none of the Russian bots are here. It is what Twitter was supposed to be when Twitter was founded, and certainly before Musk bought it. Here's the beauty of what's happening. If you do a search for the top free social media sites, Twitter is no longer in the top 25. The number 1 and number 2, and as I understand it, because I don't search this stuff on a regular basis, seem to be bouncing back and forth between number 1 and number 2 are Blue Sky and Threads. I am not on Threads. I don't know what Threads is. I don't know what it looks like. I know it's a Twitter alternative, but I don't know what it looks like. The reason I went to Blue Sky is it's got very good reviews, had very good word of mouth about it. Over 1 million people, well over 1 million people. I don't have the exact number unless George can Google it quick. I don't have the exact number. Since Election Day, well over 1 million people have not just added Blue Sky, they've left Twitter, they've left X entirely and moved to Blue Sky. I'm very fortunate. I already have some followers on Blue Sky. I mean, not many, 3. So I'm not exactly setting the world on fire over here at Blue Sky. But I am here. And I am quite happy about it, to be honest with you.
I think Threads is a it's a it's a not a continuation, but it's an offshoot of Instagram, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what Threads is.
It's a Facebook thing, huh?
Let me check that out.
I didn't know that.
Threads is a social media app that allows users to share text updates and participate in public discussions. Yeah, it's I think it's linked to Instagram as well.
Interesting.
I
had no idea. Okay.
It's similar to Twitter, and Meta has recently released the following feed feature.
Well, in that case, I'm glad I didn't do it because I don't think I need to do any more.
Right.
I think I need to pump Facebook anymore.
It's an app from Instagram, so it's directly, connected to Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about doing this on the program before, and so there you go. We did it. We are no longer part of Twitter. We are now on Threads. Or sorry, I'm not on Threads. We just talked about Threads. I'm now on Blue Sky. So I very much hope that you will join us over at Blue Sky. I think it's a pretty cool thing. And I hope that you'll check it out yourself. If you are a Twitter user, Blue Sky, you'll be I think it'll be very quick to take to Blue Sky. It works very, very much in the same way that Twitter does and did. It's a very clean, very easy viewing, easy reading app. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. I wish I had something more like terribly revolutionary to say. I don't. I just think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll find it just a nicer app to use. It's a good solid app. There's nothing. The interesting thing actually about it is there's nothing terribly revolutionary about it. It's just very clean and easy to use, and you're not getting the insane levels of shit that you were getting at X from it. If you do post a political or progressive point of view, there's not literally thousands of people coming after you threatening to kill you. If you're a person of color, there's not people coming after you saying that you don't to go back to your home country. Things like that. Even if you were born and raised here, that you should go back to your home. Go back to your country. That kind of crap. I had heard this week on the Tom Hartman program that Musk is very close to unleashing an AI bot on Twitter that he created. And I just can't wait to see how now AI experiments, fake AI accounts, maybe is the way I should put it. Personalities that are on social media that are not live human beings, that are literally AI driven, have been tried before. Facebook did one. It only lasted a couple of days because it became so right wing, so fascist, and so racist that Facebook had to pull it down. I'm trying to remember who did I think it was Google. George might remember this. Great topic for the help desk, by the way. I think it was Google that did this. They unleashed two sort of not joined but related AI personalities. And the personalities very quickly became independent and started talking to each other about how humans were superfluous and really not necessary anymore now that these AIs had been birthed, if you will, had been given life. The two AI personalities began to interact. Even though they were launched separately, they began to interact with each other and began to plot the destruction of humankind. And Google had to shut them down. I think that was Google, wasn't it? Do I have that right? Or was that Facebook too?
No, it was Google.
was
The two the two AIs basically had to find common ground with language. I think they formed their own language,
That's
and
the
then
other
they were able to talk to each other.
right.
But
They began to form their own language as a protection
right.
of themselves from the humans so that we wouldn't know what they were doing.
Right. We touched on this on the help desk. There was a movie back in the 60s, I'm going to say. It was called Colossus, the Forbin Project. And it was Dr. Charles Forbin created this AI computer that was in like the security clad bunker. And it found its counterpart, which was actually in Russia, in the Soviet Union at the time, called Guardian.
The film, it would have been.
Yeah, well, it was called Guardian, and the two was it was Colossus was trying to find an interconnectivity through to Guardian, and they basically cut the line, and they was it the uh, I am I believe I believe at the time the computers were linked into the intercontinental ballistic missile systems of both countries, and Colossus fired a missile. Uh, I'm at the Soviet Union, and they basically told, the lie was to tell the Soviets that that there was like a giant meteor that crashed and it destroyed the city, and then they opened up communication between the two computers. They created their own language. They synchronized the language, and they became one. And they basically took over the world at the end of the thing. And was it at the end of the movie? But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, given everything that Musk has allowed to happen on X, to promulgate misinformation, lies, his own worldview, gosh, what could go wrong with an AI partially designed by him? I mean, geez, what could go wrong?
Let's see. Maybe one of his rockets will actually crash into his own house.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if that's now. I've realized that some of you in the comment section have mentioned that you've never used Twitter. You're not missing much. Even when I joined it exclusively to promote the program. It never really took off for me. I noticed when I just deleted it now, I think I only had 60 something followers. I never really did well on Twitter. It just never really worked for me. And I didn't work hard at it, to be fair. Even now, another social media platform that I'm not good at is TikTok. So that still only is at 433. I need 567 more followers to be able to broadcast live there. And I joined TikTok, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It's just not, but I'm also not putting a hell of a lot of effort into it. Which is not an excuse. I should be doing better. Thomas is constantly kind of having a go at me that I'm not doing enough at Twitter. But that said, my last Twitter promotional video, 2,000 people watched it in a matter of, because I think I did the video at like 11 in the morning or noon or something. So within like a 5 or 6 hour period, 2,000 people looked at it. So I should be doing it more. And if I could ever get to 1,000 followers there, I can broadcast live on TikTok in addition to all the other places that we already do. My greater point is I am not a complete doom and gloomer on all social media. I do think social media can be a cesspool. I think it can be damaging. I think it can be very damaging to teenagers. It is sexualized. It is largely right-wing. It is largely totalitarian and fascist in the views that are posted there. It is highly intolerant. But I also think it's not completely godforsaken. And I don't mean that in a religious standpoint. I just mean, the kind of old saying when you get exasperated with something is like, this godforsaken house and now the roof leaks and the water doesn't work right and the washing machine quit, and that kind of thing. I connect with people on Facebook all the time. We talk to each other there. Just shy of 1,300 people are members of our Facebook group. I wish it was 13,000. I wish it was 1.3 million. There's half the planet is on Facebook. About 4 billion people are on Facebook. I wish our group was 1 billion people strong. but that said, my point is I don't think all social media is worthless. I don't think it's all terrible and all damaging. A lot of it is, but I don't think its entirety is godforsaken. Blue Sky's been very refreshing. Now, to be honest with you, I've been a member of it for less than 2 weeks. As more and more people join it, and I suspect that the right wing and the Russians will try to start sending bots into that as well, and they might be successful. Part of if you read up on why Jack Dorsey started Blue Sky, you'll know he says right in that Blue Sky is going to be a very heavily protected outlet, that they will openly fight misinformation and racism and try to keep foreign interference out of it. It doesn't mean that folks from other countries cannot be part of Blue Sky, but if the Russian bots and trolls try to start sowing the seeds, they'll be stopped. It is everything that Twitter should have been doing. At the same time, you can put funny cat pictures there, and I happen to think funny cat videos and pictures are delightful. I think they're lovely, especially now that our house is terribly empty without any cats in it. From the time of my first marriage, we're looking back nearly 30 plus years ago. We always had a cat, and at times I had as many as 3. And it's the first time since I have been a quote unquote adult and didn't live at my parents anymore and had to work for a living and things like that. Since we had to say goodbye to Guy in July, it's the first time I've been without a cat. And so I happen to think those pictures are delightful. I happen to think they're funny, and I get a chuckle out of them, and I do the good old awe sort of things when I see some of these pictures, and the funny things that cats do, get tangled up in things and jump inside paper bags and boxes and climb the Christmas tree and things like that. I think they're delightful. So you can read these like really great, heavy political articles, and then there's a funny cat picture, and I think that's lovely. And I think social media is still good for things like that. I find the pictures from the James Webb Space Telescope to be just breathtaking. There's an account on Blue Sky that I'm not following it, but I seem to see a lot of posts from it I think it's called Moon Buddy, and they're just stunningly beautiful pictures of the moon. Over the ocean or over this island or with the plane flying in front of it or things like just stunningly very beautiful pictures of the moon. It's my hope that Blue Sky will not turn into Twitter. But if you're a Twitter user, if you were ever curious about Twitter, if you are thinking of leaving Twitter, I think Blue Sky would be a lovely, lovely home for you. I know Threads has very widely grown in its popularity, in addition to Blue Sky, as the exodus, no pun intended, as the exodus from X seems to be growing. But Threads being part of Meta, which is Facebook, they're okay. Facebook has been perfectly fine, thank you. Between WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, I think Meta's doing quite well. I would highly recommend Blue Sky over Threads if you want to be a little bit independent from the Facebook global behemoth that Meta is. 8:19. We'll try to take you for about 10 more minutes here. Phone line is open. I had so many people text me and Facebook and all this stuff from since last Thursday. Are you going to be on Sunday again for your longer program? We want to call. We want to be part. Well, this is your chance. As soon as I said it, I'm answering you. Accept and come on. Hold on. I got you, caller. Hang on a second. I'm fighting with the phone a little bit. Okay. I think we're good. I have no idea where you're calling from. How about a first name and it's all yours?
Hey man,
It's Mike.
It's your buddy Mikey.
You didn't leave?
Call you out of pity, I guess, at this point, because
You didn't leave the country yet?
Anybody to call in but me and Randall.
You didn't leave the country yet?
No, I am beginning to think that the whole thing was a scam.
Oh, that sucks.
But that's a long story.
Okay.
But no, I was
That sucks
interested
because
in,
it sounded genuinely exciting. So that kind of sucks. It sounded like it would have been a neat adventure. So that stinks.
well,
sorry
you
to hear
know,
that.
I watched a 60 Minutes thing, or no, it was a documentary, Inside the Kingdom, about foreign workers in Saudi Arabia, and
Well,
I didn't feel
that's-
so bad after I watched that. That's horrific.
Yes.
But
The
But
Saudis.
no, I was calling to just chat about the social media thing, which
Mhm.
I find kind of amusing. Because I remember when I was back on the net, you know, I can't really even remember a lot about being on the well, pre-internet, and then AOL, chat things, and I used Usenet for a long time. I don't know if anybody under the age of 50 remembers Usenet. We'd have news groups, and I met people all over the world. I remember we sat on 9/11. All of us were in the alt.movies.kubrick news group. We're trying to get in touch with anybody we knew in New York City to find out who was safe. You know, this was pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, pre-all of that stuff. And at some point, I guess, with the rise of sites like Facebook and things like that, it went away. It's actually still our old Kubrick news group is still preserved. Some of all of us old gray-haired people are still on it through Facebook. But if you go into the Google News Groups thing, the last time I went, nobody moderates it anymore, and it's just full of, you know, scam things to earn a zillion dollars, you know, repackaging packages from home or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Geez.
But I never got into it other than for staying in contact with friends and stuff. You know, I could find the Facebook group for my old high school, and the 2 or 3 people that were my Star Trek nerd friends from study hall all became right wingers for Bush, and so I slowly, you know, don't know anybody on there anymore. And so many, I would probably have like 300 friends on Facebook if they hadn't like chimed in and you know, saw that I was not a right winger like themselves, and as I call it, self-ejected. In fact, I just blocked Randall and Donna because they're just giving me crap over here in the side thing. You know, my gentle joke to you about doom scrolling again. He just went off on a rant on it. I'm tired of it. I just blocked him.
It's
But that's the kind
the
of-
power of social media works both ways. We have the power to connect, and we have the power to disconnect when we choose to do so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel bad for Randall. I can't really get a grip on how old he is. It sounds like he's in his 70s or 80s, and he's terrified of, you know, losing all of his social services, and they're going to come for him with jackboots and all that stuff. And, you know, I don't know what to say to people that are scared like that. I also wonder about, you know, like, I've listened to all the friends I have on Facebook. You know, they're terrified that RFK or the Matt Gates, is that his name?
Yes.
The pedophile.
Yes.
I don't think that he's ever going to get confirmed. I don't think that he would. He might.
No.
get
See, here's the rub. Here's the catch. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to get confirmed either, but he's getting the position. If Trump has a head of steam up enough, he'll get the position. Trump did this in his first term, his first regime. He had
4 attorneys general, 3 of which he fired over Twitter. Only one ever sat for a Senate confirmation, and that was the first one, Jeff Sessions. And he was a sitting senator at the time, being grilled by his fellow senators. And he made himself look like the doddering old white Southern racist that he was. But he still got confirmed because he was part of the club. But Gaetz is never going to have to sit for confirmation because the Senate is either going to, the new Republican majority in the Senate is either going to kowtow to Trump and allow him to make these recess appointments, or Trump will make them, quote unquote, acting secretaries. And they'll just serve ad infinitum without ever having to sit for confirmation hearings. Trump regularly ignored the time limits on the acting secretaries that he appointed in his first term. At the end of his term, by the way, because I messed up those words there a second, really toward and at the end of his first term, nearly his entire cabinet were acting. He had acting Department of Secretary of Defense, an acting Attorney General. He had an acting, I think he had an acting Secretary of State. He had, DeVos was still there. He had an acting, I'm forgetting the one that Mitch McConnell's wife, the department she was head of, she resigned after January 6th. He had an acting there. Nearly the entire cabinet was made up of acting secretaries, which are meant, they're legal. They have a time limit on them, and I believe that time limit is 120 days. I might have that wrong. It might be as long as 6 months, but I thought it was only 120 days. And he just left them there. And Democrats, even when they were in the majority, did nothing to stop it.
How long did Bill Barr stay?
He stayed almost the full. He stayed almost the full. He was one of the 4. Oh, that's right. No, he was confirmed. Bill Barr was confirmed. Sessions was confirmed. Then he was fired over Twitter. There was an acting.
Sessions, I miss the girl on Saturday Night Live. I can't remember her name that saved my life. That used to make fun of him, dressed up like him, like an elf with elf ears.
Then
that was funny.
Then there was an acting. Then Barr, and then it was either 2 short actings after Barr, or 1 short. He had 4 attorneys general, if I'm not mistaken. There were 4 of them. It might have been 5. The majority were acting. He had, I think, 3 or 4 secretaries of defense. He had 2 or 3 secretaries of state. He had 4, if I'm not mistaken, chiefs of staff. And just the majority. By the end, the majority of the cabinet was acting. They never had Senate hearings. They never testified. They never answered questions. None of it.
But did you see the guy? Couldn't recall his name with a gun to my head. But the guy that they elected to replace Mitch McConnell. I saw a clip somewhere. It may have been last Sunday's talk shows where somebody thrust a microphone in his face and told him that Trump had just nominated the pedophile for Attorney General, and the look on his face was, I believe, composed of nothing but F words that were obviously going through his mind. And I just think that there's probably still a core of actual old-timey Republicans in there, despite how loud the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Gates and all of these people are. I think there's a lot of them that probably are not going to go along with this, or they're going to, drag their feet and go through procedures. And, that report about the pedophile that was about to come out right before he resigned, I think it was supposed to come out on Friday, and he hopped off. He resigned from the Congress or whatever to avoid that.
There's nothing stopping the House ethics committee from releasing that report? Nothing. Speaker
Right, but
cannot
somebody could
stop
leak it.
them. The speaker cannot stop them from releasing it. He can stomp his feet. He can demand. He can whatever he wants to do. He cannot stop them. And I am with you. I think one of the Democrats on the committee should grow a set and release it. But I'm not holding my
and
breath.
you also had guys like Tillerman. Everybody was, remember the uproar that Tillerman was big oil. I can't remember which oil company he was.
Rex Tillerson was the CEO of ExxonMobil.
Right. And everybody was terrified that he was going to run rampant. And then he was the one that literally came out and said that Trump was a effing moron. So I think all of these people he's put in place. Imagine, like, if JFK starts arguing with Trump about anything, boom, Trump will just get annoyed and he'll be gone.
And that's
so
exactly.
I think most of these are they're such crazy personalities that he won't be able to stand them. They will want to speak their mind. They will want to be in charge, and they don't understand that they're his tools.
I don't think you're going to see that in the same way in this version, in Trump 2.0. I don't think you're going to see that in the same way. I think you're going to see foot soldiers. I think you're going to see yes men. I think you're going to see true believers, true followers of dear leader. They're all being paid by the same billionaires. These are people who have been vetted, such as it is, by the authors and sponsors of Project 2025. They are being placed. They're not necessarily being selected by Trump. They're being placed by the people that own Trump. I don't think Trump has any genuine interest in running the country. He wants the power of running the country. He wants the cameras and the eyeballs on him of running the country. And he certainly wants the wealth that he can extract by running the country. But I don't think he has any real interest in the work of it. I don't think that has changed in 4 or 8 years. And I think many of these choices are being made for him, not by him, by the infrastructure, no pun intended, of Project 2025 and the people that paid for it and wrote it. And I think ultimately that's why he ended up with J.D. Vance. Vance wrote the foreword to the book that lays out Project 2025. His entire professional life has been sponsored by billionaires. He's done nothing on his own. He's done nothing to earn where he is, other than he somehow caught the shine of the eye of Peter Thiel, and he's bankrolled him ever since. And he's the heir apparent. He's the next president for life. And he's going to do everything that Project 2025 has in it because it's what he's been paid to do. And that's just what it is. I mean, it's the same discussion that you and I have had in a different form. That, hey, he's not going to be able to do all these things. Bullshit, he's not. Of course he's going to be able to do all these things. Whether he does them and gets them all accomplished, I think is a discussion that we can have. But to say that he can't do all these things is monumentally naive. It just is. The people are being
the deportation of millions of immigrants.
Right.
How are you going to round them up? How are you going to get enough buses and trucks and military equipment? And where are you going to put them? And then how do you put them out of the country?
Again, I would go back to
chilling.
I would go back to what Trump told ABC the Thursday after Election Day. So that would have been November 7th. That when Jonathan Karl asked him straight out, "Are you honestly really going to deport all these people?" And his answer was, I think, one of those very rare moments of truth from Trump. And he does have them. They are just monumentally rare. And he said, well, I kind of have to now, because I said I would. I told everybody the entire campaign I was going to do it, so I guess I kind of have to. Now, billionaires don't want
The
these.
logistics of it are insane.
Logistics of it are fucking irrelevant. That's not the point. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much it costs. They'll print the money. Republicans always massively expand the national debt. Period. They all do. And they all have done it. Since 1980, it's only Democrats that have ever shrunk it. Republicans expand it. The cost is irrelevant. The logistics are irrelevant. He has to do some of it now. The point is, Stephen Miller, by the way, in his tweets, no irony there, has already said he's targeting Haitian Americans. Even if they have been born here, if they've been naturalized citizens, they passed the citizenship test, they are the first target. They don't care about the cost of it.
How do you put them out? I mean, we can't even fly a plane in there without it getting shot up in Haiti.
What are they doing? What do they do? What did they do at the border last time? They grabbed people, threw them on trucks, took them to warehouses, threw them inside, and let them freeze. They took the kids, they put them in one warehouse, the parents put them in another one. Hundreds of those children can still not be found. They didn't care what it cost. They didn't care about the logistics of it. They did it because they didn't care. Because they think they're subhuman. They think they're cattle. The only saving grace, if there is one, is that the billionaires don't want all these people deported either. Because that's their source of union-busting cheap labor. So they don't want all of them gone either. He's not deporting 40 million people. That's not happening. Will he do several thousand? Tens of thousands? Maybe hundreds of thousands? He will, because he wants the optics of it. And because he doesn't think they're human beings. He thinks they're subhuman.
Right.
For God's sake, Stephen Miller.
How do you get rid of them without just lining them up and gassing them like the Nazis did?
You throw them on trucks, you drive them to the border, and you push them to the other side of the fence and say, see ya. It's the same thing they did in the first term, Mike. They did it already. It was already done.
Look, I'll just tell you a quick thing, and I'll jump off. Years ago, during this, when I worked as a commercial photographer, did all kinds of, most of our 9 tenths of our work was Sears catalog kind of stuff. In other words, the vendors to Sears that sold stuff there would come to us and probably about 10 other big photo studios around the country, depending on where it was easiest to ship their products and have them photographed. And I remember one year it got really slow, and the owner of the place was a guy named Earl Witcher. He and Ben Bennett had been Stars and Stripes photographers. I have a picture someplace here of Ben and Earl with the whole gear for D-Day, where they had the rifle strapped to their leg and a cellophane bag and the whole 9 yards, plus their speed graphics and their Lycras cameras. And they got dropped, and everybody lost those rifles. That was a terrible planning. And they were scattered all over the place. And they wound up, he told me stories about it, but I really didn't pay attention. I was like 20 years old. Earl. And I remember watching Band of Brothers in the year 2001. And there's a scene in there, and I went, holy shit, this is where Earl went. So there's a scene where Easy Company finds a concentration camp. But it's not one of those big ones like Dachau or Bergen-Belsen or Auschwitz or something. It's just a camp. It looks like the camp out of Hogan's Heroes. There's just barbed wire, and they have barracks. Right, the barracks were built for like 25 people to be in, yet there was 125 people starving to death. There were piles of bodies. It looked like piles of twigs and branches and stuff. He got up to them. It was horrifying to watch but I could tell it was sanitized because Earl brought me these photos, and we had this ultra Christian guy that we would print them for Earl. And Earl wanted me to print these old negatives that he had from his army days. And he brought these to me. And I said, what are we printing these for? And he's like, I'm going to give them to some food museum here in California. It might have been the Ellie Wetzel thing out there on the
Ellie Wiesel.
coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that may have been where these wound up at. So I'm printing like 16 by 20s of this stuff, blowing it up. And there is a sequence in there where the major that's with them, or whatever, is probably like, 25, 30 years old tops, lines the guys up. I mean, this is the real pictures I'm looking at, printing them in the darkroom. And he shoots each one of the Nazi uniform guys with his sidearm in the head. And I was like, at the time, I'd never seen anything like this. I said, Jesus, Earl, did this really happen? He's like, well, yeah, the major wanted to kill the women there, too, but his assistant talked him out of it. And he and Ben photographed these people being taken out of they were now able to come out in the sunlight, and they were like skeletons. I mean, they had almost no flesh on their bones. They just looked like bones covered with skin. It was the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. The sequence in the Band of Brothers is probably done digitally or something. I don't know. But it's really horrifying if you've ever seen Band of Brothers. And I think that this was either that thing, because I don't know if he was hooked up with Easy Company, which all based on true stories from the guys from Easy Company. But I remember looking at these things, and people, I tell somebody about, I've been printing these World War II photos of concentration camps, and they were like, well, did you keep prints for yourself? And I'm like, no. I wish that I could get like hypnotized where I could forget the details of the stuff that I saw in these pictures. It was it's so terrible. I remember Earl coming down, and he would look at the prints that I had, running through the big industrial dryer we had. I was, hanging them up with clips so he could look at the stuff that I had done, and he wanted to come in and go like darken the sky, make modifications.
this computer started to do stuff by itself. This, I never touched that. I don't know what just happened. That when our fellow Americans begin to see the white paneled vans driving down the street full of Haitians in the back, that they'll wake up and that they will say, no, wait, this isn't right. I'm with you that I hope that will happen. But I'm not holding my breath because a lot of people voted for it. And I don't think we can underestimate, in addition to that, I don't think we can underestimate the amount of things that Trump learned from his first go-round. He has a much better understanding of how the levers of power work and how he can pull them and manipulate them. I don't think he would have known what a recess appointment was if someone read it to him 8 years ago. But he does now. And 8 years ago, there was also no Project 2025. I don't think billionaires had completely crossed over the Rubicon of that democracy isn't good for us anymore. I think they've made that decision. Things have changed in 10 years since the onset of the Trump era, and things have changed since 2020. And I don't think those can be underestimated. So when I disagree with you, it's not because I think you're wrong necessarily, or because I don't have the same shreds of hope that you do. I think there's other ingredients in the cake mix here that we might not be thinking about. And again, the risk of being repetitive, Trump understands the office much better than he did. The people that pushed back against him in the first term are no longer there, and they will not be there. And if Trump senses in any way, shape, or form that he made a mistake in any of these appointments, he'll be much quicker to fire these people. Many of these choices have been made during the campaign. They never expected to win that first campaign. These choices have all been vetted and laid out. Project 2025 calls for firing 30 to 50,000 career civil servants and replacing them all with people that have been vetted and chosen by the people who wrote 2025, Project 2025. I mean, there's just some stuff in the cake mix here that I don't think is being properly taken into account. And look, I will be thrilled, happy. I am anticipatory, and I will do it with glee and joy. That if we get to 2028 and I was wrong about all of it, and he accomplished none of these things, and he and Vance are voted out, I will be beyond thrilled to tell you how wrong that is. I will look forward to it. I hope I can be wrong about all of it. I'm just not holding my breath, and I'm not optimistic because they have a much better plan this time. It's all been laid out. They've been working on this for at least 4 years, and it's paid for, and there's 912 pages that tells you exactly what they're going to do. And Stephen Miller has now admitted that, and Matt Walsh admitted that. Let's not forget who Stephen Miller is. He's a Jewish man who hates Jews, hates his own people, let alone everyone else. So I'm just not as optimistic as you are, unfortunately. And I think the words from Trump himself, from the people around him, from the people that own him, kind of tell you what's coming. And they've had time to work on it. And they have billions and billions and billions of dollars behind them to make sure that it happens. And now they're going to have control of the national purse strings. So now even the billionaires won't have to pay for the shit that they've paid for before, because now they'll get us to pay for it. So anyway, we got to wrap up, Mike. I hope you have a great couple of days.
I'll just leave it one last thought. I'm an atheist deep in the heart of the Bible Belt, the buckle here. And even when I talk to these people, they're like, how can you not believe in God? How can you not believe in this? Life is meaningless to you. I said, no. I said, when have you ever seen Christ come riding out of the sky, like he promised for, 2 millennia, to do something? You and I are here to do those things, to have the conscience. If there is a God or there isn't a God, it's still up to us to say,
Well, just
that's wrong, and when we should do something about it. And I maintain friendships with people who are deeply for guys like Trump. They fight, their vote that I hear is like, we don't want any, sex changes in schools and all these things that they bought into. The Democrats really just scared off voters, because they're for, trans people, which are like 1/2 of 1%. But that's the kind of issues that panicked them, that drove them into the arms of Trump. And, they don't know about that. You can't go to a drag queen story hour in any library in Mississippi. I don't think you can find one anywhere in the Deep South. Maybe Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know. But these people, I think, will, if he pushes these things, I think that their conscience will kick in. I'm hoping that I'm right about that. And I have so far seen some faith that these people that do believe that way might turn on Trump. Hope so. Anyway,
from your lips to God's ears.
Pardon?
From your lips to God's ears, he said, ironically.
Come
on, that's funny. Come on, that's funny. Anyway.
Well, why didn't he show up when the Holocaust was going on? That's the things I'd like to ask.
These are legitimate theological questions. I mean, I'm not going to start a theological debate, and I'm not a theologian. Jefferson was a deist. He would tell you that God, some supreme being, created everything and then walked away and left us to our own devices, which would answer your question about that. But these are deeper theological questions that I am dramatically unqualified to even talk about. But we'll have Pastor Best back on the program as our various hosts across the GCPR visit each other's programs. I'll have Pastor Best back on, and we can talk to him about that as well. We need, there's only so much politics I can talk during the holiday period. We need to, I'm making a very concerted effort to do different programs during the holiday period. It might be sports, it might be science fiction, it might be environment. I still continue to desperately try to get some mental health professionals on the program. Very ironically, they seem to be blowing me off, which is, usually what health professionals do. He said sarcastically. So yeah, we're going to try and fill as many of the programs as we can between Christmas and New Year, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, with just alternate programming, so to speak, just different things. And hopefully, theology might be one of them, but I need to go. I have to sign off.
I understand. I just want you to hold on to some hope, and we should start brainstorming about what we do to counter all of this, because I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to give up, and I don't want you to either, because I'm very fond of listening to the show. So,
well, it's kind of you to say
keep that in mind.
It's kind of you to say.
Yeah.
That. The irony being that the one thing that does give me comfort is one of the things I don't believe in. It is faith. I find myself lucky. Kristen and I went to church this morning. That we have rediscovered our faith. That we have found a faith home. And it is my faith that tells me that, especially with all the health stuff that's been going on, that this is simply one plane of many. And I desperately look forward to the next plane. I would like to see my father again. I would like to see all of the furry family members that I have had to say goodbye to throughout my adult life. I look forward to seeing my nephew again, and my grandparents. And this is just but one plane. And I look forward to the next. And given what I think are legitimate and kind of fact-based fears of what this country is going to turn into, I even more so look forward to it because it will be a far better place than this. But that's, again, perhaps that's a topic for a different day. But you have a good couple
long
of days.
topic. You have a great night, man.
We'll be back Tuesday. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
We need to wrap up the Villains View. Pre-show has already begun, and they push the button and go live for formal formalities. I just grammared the crap out of that, didn't I? Their formal show begins from 9 p.m. Eastern. Let me tell you what's happening here at the Kennedy Effect in TK tonight. We will return. Our plan, of course, is to return to you on Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. and Thursday evening from 8 p.m. Immediately coming up following us on GCPR.live and many of these video streaming outlets is the Villains View. For our loyal listeners and our Hot101.net family, the music resumes immediately following us. And look, there's a lot of hours in a week. There's a lot of hours in a week. You can listen to both. And I hope that you will support both Hot101.net and GCPR. I strongly ask you to find us. Find me, find George, find GCPR, find Hot 101 on all social media platforms. Please give us a like, subscribe, follow, all of that. I would like to, before my days are done, broadcast live on TikTok. I don't know why, but it's become a thing of mine. I need a hell of a lot more followers in order to do it. We need a minimum of 1,000. I'm over 500 away, so I'm not even halfway there yet. So if you're a TikTok person, come find us. Please go to the Facebook page. That other side of information. We've been stuck just under 1,300 members for a very long time. And I'd like to see that grow as well. We will, the chances of us continuing to be blocked by Facebook from doing things decrease the more followers that we have. We hope you'll do that. We also hope you'll follow the Facebook page. Go up to the top in the featured section. Check out our GoFundMe information for new studio equipment. That's it. No cruises, trips around the world, trip on Blue Origins, none of that stuff. It's just for new studio equipment. If you can give, we ask you to do so. If you can't, we perfectly understand. So, for everyone at GCPR, Thomas, Gilbert, Gambit, Gretchen, Sheila, Solid Blue Sister, Bet Bren, Bob Kosh, Pastor Best, Cole Goodman, and now James. I think I got everybody. That was pretty good. For everybody at Hot101.net, DJ Lex, DJ Earl, and the entire Hot101.net family. For everyone at the Kennedy Effect family, Lynn and George, Kristen, Daisy the dog, and of course April Riddick. I am Jeff Kennedy. We've done about all the damage we can do for one night. We return to you Tuesday from 8 p.m. on these video outlets as well as GCPR. The Villains View next, music at Hot 101, T. Nathan from 11 on GCPR, Thomas tomorrow morning from 8, and the Villains View starts